We're getting into busier spaces here. And I think I'm going to have a walk down from Broadway, leaving the intersection here of Main Street and Broadway. There's always creative influx and in movement, and we get stuck at Main Street and Broadway. That's where we were before COVID. We were living lives that we didn't really question. We were at the end of a gilded age, and we didn't really realize it. Post-war economy and expansion and technological growth and standard of living increases since the Second World War, absolutely the most astounding thing human beings have ever done. And we got comfortable, we got complacent hanging out at Main Street and Broadway thinking this is all normal. It's not, it's the exception. That's humanity. Now, the question I'm still continuing to think about is why does Vancouver feel so different to me right now than it did before? And I talked about the difference in Ottawa that was kind of slow, and we got a sense it went in stages, and each stage has had a different impact on movement and busyness and connection and people in the city and how we interact with each other and go about our lives. And here I am, right at this moment, I'm looking around and I'm realizing, seeing part of a disconnect, and the disconnect is between the Zoom class and the economic elites and the people on the street. I had an exchange with Heather Mason. Heather's a pretty incredible woman, strong woman, and she said she's been trying to tell people about the impact of the opioid crisis, and what happened when support facilities what happened when support facilities closed down during the pandemic and everybody got $2,000 checks. What happened to the opioid crisis? Now we've got this separation, this distance between the Zoom class, who are not out here on the streets. The Zoom class, perhaps, they're driving around in their cars, they're running some errands and things like that, but they've largely stayed at home and been close to their home, and many people I know had their groceries delivered, and so they never really went out. Well, what remains? What's left on the streets? What we just didn't see before, the invisible, the human struggle. It's like we didn't notice because we were so consumed in our lives, just assuming that everything's normal at Main Street and Broadway. It's not. The people I'm seeing on the street are struggling. And the rest of us aren't here. We're not putting in that attention. We're not engaging in that way. We're protecting ourselves. And then we get this class divide, and we go outside and we say, oh my God, what's happened to the world? And we entrench ourselves in our bubbles, our Zoom class bubbles, and our elite bubbles, and our ideas about the state of the world. Well, when I walk through Vancouver right now, I'm seeing something that I remember from small town Canada. So I'm an old tree planter, and I traveled through northern British Columbia and many small towns, resource towns that were going through hard times, and working class towns, and mining towns, and forestry towns. And in a lot of cases, sometimes those towns get hollowed out when the industry dies, the factory closes and the people leave, and what remains are the impoverished and the struggling, because those who can leave. I see empty storefronts, and I see City Center Motor Hotel crumbling.